Hello everyone and welcome back guys to AOR Season 14, Round 17 here for the US Grand Prix. And finally you guys are back in for a treat because this race is an absolute cracker. But like I always do, I'm going to leave you on board with my fastest lap from qualifying. Through the final corner then to finish off my lap, and overall it has been pretty decent. Down towards the line it is going to be P2 on the grid at that moment in time. Unfortunately, if Morso hadn't actually improved by so much, it would have been provisional pole. But by the end of the session there, Franglish actually able to get onto pole position there with a 1 minute 32.9. A very quick lap from him. Drawmaster, last week's race victor, P2. Morso third, myself in fourth with Sam just behind me in P5. So here we are then on the grid, ready for an action-packed US Grand Prix. It is 5 lights, but Sam has already decided to go there. That is very much a jump start from him, which is going to leave him with a drive-through penalty there, which means we're already down to P5, but up in towards turn 1. Then we are going to go a little bit later on the brakes, trying to look back at the inside of the Ferrari there of WR Morso, but he's just going to be able to hold it on around the inside for turn 2 here. And this, overall, this first stint was actually quite quiet on the whole, apart from this first lap. But obviously, you'll get to see about that. Coming through Sector 1, though, we're still all over the back of these cars. Make sure, this setup was very much time trial driven. I sort of wanted to try for a bit of a change there, as Herschel actually dives it up my inside here. But as I was saying, yeah, this setup actually quite time trial orientated on the whole, which probably wasn't going to help me in the long run in this race there. But Herschel dives it down my inside there. I make a tiny bit of contact there. Herschel makes a whole lot more with it. Morso there completely, sets himself sideways. But fortunately for Morso and myself, we're able to hold on just for now. We're certainly going to be seeing a whole lot more from him in this race. But for now, we're in the slipstream. We're having a look down the inside in towards the heavy braking zone. They're braking just before the 100 metre board there. And we now move up into the podium places of this Grand Prix. And if I'm not mistaken, this is the first time we've been on the podium properly since Spa. So it's been quite a while, I feel, since we've really been fighting at the front. But now, on to lap 6 of the Grand Prix. As I said, this first stint actually very quiet on the whole. Really sort of the only quiet bit we're going to get throughout this Grand Prix. And at this moment in time, I'm sort of losing a little bit to the two guys ahead of me here. So I was going to try and gamble it, go for a little bit of an undercut strategy here. But down into the pit lane there, and that is certainly not the way in that you should be taking there. Completely going for a nice cheeky wall tap there on the way in. Full opposite lock somehow. We don't actually rip the wheel off, because that could quite easily happen there as well. But diving it in onto a set of these soft tyres there. 21 laps to try and drag them throughout the rest of this Grand Prix. That is going to be a very tall order there. A 2.6 second pit stop as well, which isn't overall too bad, but now really hoping that we can try and go for the undercut here. We have come out in a good bit of free air, clean air as well there, which is really ideal to see. And now skipping on 1 lap later here, this is obviously where we're going to start seeing the rewards. Has this worked out? We're going to jump Herschel very easily there, but unfortunately we're not going to be able to jump LGS. As you can see, he comes out the pit lane on the inside here, able to brake a whole lot later in towards T1. We try and go for a bit of a switchback move on him there, but fortunately for him, just about able to park it exactly where he needed to there, and the Ferrari will hold on to P7 at this moment in time during the Grand Prix, but hoping that we can sort of just latch onto him. Also note that obviously LGS will actually have to 2-stop this Grand Prix, therefore he won't be able to take those super softs 20 laps throughout this race there. But now on to lap 9 of this race. We have jumped now, well, we've stayed ahead, sorry, of WR Morso there, which has been good. He overall was about a second back from me before we made our pit stops there, which is good. You know, we've pulled out a little bit of time over him. But now on to lap 10 of this race, and Drawmaster is now all over the back of Sam F1 LFC there, and there's contact made between the pair of them there, and Drawmaster was in the net lead there of the Grand Prix, and we're now going to swoop right around his outside up into effectively the net lead of this Grand Prix, as all the guys ahead of me have got another stop to make. But at this moment of time, you know, it's a little bit uncertain what is going to happen about that, because, you know, LGS, I think it's Franglish, and I'm not 100% too sure who actually was the final driver there that was right at the very front of this field. I think it was Midget and Bobbits even. They all had to make another pit stop in this Grand Prix, but now we were in a battle with Drawmaster here. Lap 13, we're going to go very, very defensive down in towards the heavy braking zone here. We're going to be able to hold it on the inside there. He's going to have the inside, though, for the next couple of corners, but using the camber round at the exit of, I think this is sort of turn 13, turn 14, we're going to go right around his outside there. Hold on to the, well, we still think at the moment the net lead of this Grand Prix. As you can see on the minimap, the guys ahead of me, you know, they're certainly not a pit stop ahead, but a couple of laps later, Drawmaster still locked into battle with him. He's now going to get to the inside there. We just don't squeeze him up right the way to the apex there. A tiny bit of contact wheel to wheel there as we now come out of the next corner there. We're going to be on the inside this time. Going to try and hold on to the position for now. Get very, very early on the power there. Fight the back end as much as possible. They give him a little bit of a squeeze, you know, a little bit unintentionally. He then keeps it on the inside through the next corner there, and I think, yeah, he is going to be able to move up into P3 of this Grand Prix here, and this is really, really crucial at the moment, but he does seem to be very, very slow here. I'm not too sure if he's got a little bit of front wing damage here or just isn't that confident with the kart through the final sector, as we're always pushing him through the final couple of corners here, out of the final corner, trying to get on the power nice and early, and it does appear we have got quite a decent run here. Bobbits, though, behind is going very, very quickly there. Drawmaster goes to the inside for T1 there. We're going to try and outbrake him in towards the corner, and I think, yes, we are going to be able to make that move. Right around the outside we go, and now we're back up into P2 of the Grand Prix, actually just behind EVR Franglish there, so that's another 1-2 for the books this season for EVR, just not exactly at the ideal stages of this Grand Prix here, but Drawmaster still all over the back of me. And for those of you that don't know who he is, he's actually Kimi Larson, so he's very, very quick. And if I'm not mistaken, he was one of the Gran Turismo, Nismo sort of, I can't remember what it's called now, off the top of my head. I've had a complete blank moment from that as Bobbits flies past me there. But he was part of the GT Academy, that was what it was. He was part of that. He was also, he nearly made it into the, he was a World's Fastest Gamer semi-finalist as well, so he certainly knows his way around at these sims and used to race in real life against people such as Felix Rosenquist as well. But now LGS 1 lap later, able to move down the inside here, and it appears, you know, this amount of battling that we had between myself more so and Drawmaster there has really, really cost us all, as now we skip on 1 lap later again, and LGS all over the back of me here, and I don't think, you know, we're not really going to try and hold him up particularly much. You know, there's no real point at this moment in time, as we were losing out so much time, and although I didn't really want to check, I knew the tyres were absolutely shredded, and this was really, really not ideal for myself on lap 22 of this Grand Prix. I did consider going on to a set of these ultra soft tyres here, but I felt, you know, there was no real point. May as well try and gamble on them. As you can see, 2 laps later, the tyres are up to 70% wear here, which is certainly not ideal for myself. But we're trying to do everything within my power to try and hold on at this moment in time. More so is all over the back of me once more in this Grand Prix here, as we run a tiny bit wide through that corner, so there is still, you know, a whole chance that we need to keep trying to defend this position. And now 1 lap later, we've still got more so all over the back of me here, and on that fresher compound of tyres, he's also been able to keep them in better shape. As I said, you know, this time trial setup really not suited me in the Grand Prix. He's going to try and look down the inside there as we come down through the big heavy braking zone once more there. We're going to try and keep it on the outside there, but unfortunately a tiny bit of contact made between the pair of us there, and he's going to be sent all over the grass. And in all honesty, looking at that back on the replay cameras there, it did appear, I personally felt, that that was probably my fault there. You know, the back end just broke traction ever so slightly there, but at the time, you know, more so and I were both apologising to each other. We didn't really know who was to blame for that one there, and I think, you know, we're both just going to knock that down to a racing incident on the whole there. But yeah, a little bit frustrating. We've let Drawmaster back through once more there, and I think for him, he's just going to be able to pull away in at the dying few laps of this Grand Prix. But out of the final corner of the race, unfortunately from there, you can see the tyres, well, they nearly blew up exactly. 88% on the rears there. Well, we do come through to finish P6 in that Grand Prix there, and overall, as I said, you know, it was mainly just nice to have an action-packed race once more in this season. Herschel, well, he doesn't make it to the line, unfortunately, there. Unfortunately, ripping off his wheel with just a couple of, well, I say a couple of corners to go, I mean right down at the finish line there, which is pretty funny. Unfortunately for him, that does mean he has lost out on 1 point, which P1R Brown, still in the championship fight, will quite happily claim for himself there. But P6 at the end of the US Grand Prix, and as I said, it was just fun. I think that's more battling than we've seen about the last 4 races of AOR. So really, really nice, actually have some good, strong racing once more. Nice, to prove to myself as well that, we've really still got the pace to fight at the front in F2, potentially lining myself up for a move to Tier 1 for Season 15, depending on the interest from a whole lot of drivers there. But overall, yeah, a very interesting race. Quite surprised that the 2-stop did actually end up working for the front runners there. Really sort of surprising to see that LGS, Bobberts and Franglish were all able to make that work at the very end of the Grand Prix. If I'm not mistaken, though, Bobberts actually did a super soft to ultra soft run there. So, credits to him. But hopefully, you guys have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you're new around here and you want to see more of AOR Season 14 here. We've still got 3 rounds to go of the season at Mexico, Brazil, and finally Abu Dhabi. And honestly, after that one, I'm looking a little bit more forward to the final 3. But as I said, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.